I'd like to thank the grace of heaven, the virtues of the masters, and the compassion and mercy of the grand predecessor, senior transmitters, temple masters, lecturers, and all of you for giving me this opportunity to talk about today's topic, which is chapter 29 of the Tao Te Ching. Okay, here's the overview. All right, so this chapter 29, its title is called Nature, Natural Nature, or Self-Caution, or you can say self-prudent, right? 谨慎, right? That means, be prudent, circumspect, self-circumspect, okay? Be cautious of oneself, okay? It's divided in 3 sections, okay? The first one is his statement, his proposition, okay? All right, you guys can see, right? Okay, proposition, all right? It's 3 sentences, okay? And then there's the middle section. He explains why it is so, okay? Kind of analysis, and then the conclusion, okay? All right? And it's really, a lot of the content here is, and we'll talk about it, I'll mention it more in the detail section. Are common themes, basic themes that has been raised in the previous chapters. Okay, so like in the conclusion, okay, section, similar here in the middle section, okay, in the and to some degree the top section. Okay, so it's basically he's reiterating, okay, from a different perspective. In this case, it's now about being one who wants to control and dominate everything, okay, or the world. Okay, now let's go to the outline itself. Okay, all right, so chapter 29. I should take hopefully no more than 75 minutes. Okay, all right, so here's the first sentence. Those who wish to take the world and control it, I see that they cannot succeed. Okay, all right. The first 2 words, 将欲, literally means to wish to. So in the context, those who wish to. Okay, 许 means to take, to receive, to choose, etc. Okay. Now this phrase I think we've introduced before in previous chapter. 天下 means literally the world, everything under heaven. That's what it means. It just means the world. It means everything, anything. Okay, anything under heaven. All right. So the basic meaning. Okay, here's the basic meaning. On a general case. This is the general case. The broad refers to those who seek to dominate and control others. Those who wish to possess or own the world and act according to achieve that aim. So it implies there's a selfish nature about it, even though you might say, oh, I want to dominate and control others for their benefit. Even then, even if if that's your rationale, okay, it's still considered a wishful thinking, a selfish type of desire, right? Okay, because when you think about it, Buddha, Jesus, they never, even though, right, they believe they want to save the world, if you will, right? They have a very you can say great message or teaching for the world, right? But they don't go about saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to control and dominate the world so I can teach you. This is what's good for you, right? They don't do that, right? I mean, they don't do that, okay? Same idea, okay? All right. Another understanding, okay, this is on a national, state level. It's, refer to people, tyrants, despots or conquerors who want to who are bent on conquest, dictators based on oppression and domination, right? People who want to hold on to the power, okay, at all costs, no matter what, the end justifies the means, right? So, they'll do whatever, okay, to control, to dominate, etc., so that they, for their benefit, okay, all right. So that's on a very, you can say national, state level, right? I mean, we see this throughout history, right? Today also, okay? Now, the next understanding is on a personal level. Individuals who are aggressive and always trying to meddle in other people's business, like at work, micromanagers, people who always looking over your back, right? Doesn't give you room, right, to let's say to do what you want or what you think is best, right? Okay. Now it also applies to entities or organizations that exploit and damage the environment for the sake. I mean, that's a very specific. It just basically means on a personal level, someone who likes to control or who wants to control or dominate others based on. Now, the key is based on the human desires, okay? Based on what they think, right? Or what they like, right? What they like, all these desires, right? What they like, okay? What they think, even thinking about, okay? All right. Now, so that's the first sentence. And the last sentence or the last phrase, is I see that they cannot succeed. So what Lao Tzu is saying is that this goes against the Tao, okay? The desire or that wish to want to control or dominate everything, okay? Either the world or, somebody else or, whoever, anything and everything, right? Therefore, attempts to dominate and control will eventually fail because that's not the Tao. The Tao just let everything be, right? Let it be, right? Let everything be. Let everything runs its natural course. That's, okay? That's the Tao, okay? Okay, so here's another understanding. Throughout history, now this is looking at it from a historical perspective and external. Okay, we have seen how tyrants and dictators went about on their conquest and control. And although initially successful, but in the end, they all ended in defeat or death, right? You look at all the previous empires, right? Empires rise and then they fall eventually, right? I mean, today we're in, 21st century, right? 2000s. So if you look back in the last, 5,000-6,000 years, even 3,000, 4,000 years before Jesus or, before Common Era, we've seen empires that rose, right? They might last. Some might last pretty long, maybe 1,000 years. But eventually they collapse. Okay, civilizations for that matter too. But that's a different story. But we're talking about people who control and dominate. So empires, right? Empires that that go out and conquer, right? Conquer people, lands, etc., etc. Okay, under the guidance or the leadership of a ruler or whoever, a leader. Okay, so look at supposedly in terms of land area, land mass, the Mongol Empire originally under Genghis Khan, then later under his grandson Kublai Khan, they conquered the largest land area throughout history. But their empire didn't last more than probably less than 100 years, a little under 3 generations, I believe, or something like that. Okay. Now we can look at the British Empire. The sun never sets on its flag, right? Actually, today there are vestiges. They are the Commonwealth countries, but still, in its heyday under Queen Victoria in the 19th century, it reached its peak. Then what? In the next century, it declined. So throughout history, we can see that. All right, Roman Empire, right? It lasted 400 plus years, roughly. All right, even though the Eastern Roman Empire, later called the Byzantine Empire, it lasted another 500-600 years later. So that's 1,000 years. So eventually, they don't endure. Okay, all right. So dictators, tyrants come and go. They do not endure nor last. People are aggressive. People who are aggressive, controlling, dominant will not last either. Okay, but will leave a dishonorable legacy instead. All right. Now, in terms of people, okay, who wish to control and manipulate, comes from mainly two areas, okay? Excessive greed or desire to dominate, okay? They just have that desire tendency, okay? And then there's arrogance that's rooted in ignorance, okay? Because they think they're the most capable. They think they have the right answer, or they think they're right, okay? Or they're right, or their views are right, okay? Or, it's the way to go, or their vision is correct, right? Throughout history, we've seen leaders are like that too, all right? But it's rooted in ignorance, which will result in increasing escalation of ever more extreme measures or inevitable failure and loss, okay? So we've seen throughout history these situations, these circumstances, okay? All right. Now, here's the higher level a little bit. It's more, it's individual, but it deals with the rest of the world, society. So if there's really a situation that requires, now we can put it, so this is, the basic understanding is basically either an arrogant or a person who desires to dominate or control, right? Everything. Now, the other one, the alternative way is to say, if there's really a situation that requires one to possess or control anything, one would only do so if there's no other alternative. So that's the alternative way of interpreting this line, okay, of understanding this line. All right. So only if there's no other alternative. Okay, so it's like the last resort. Then you go about trying to control things. Okay, and this kind of segues into next two chapters. Okay, but okay, so yeah, chapter 29, 30, 31 are all kind of related, especially 29 and 30 and 31. Sorry. Okay, so the implications are this. So if you're a sage, they don't wish to pursue controlling or dominating anything. It's only when there's no other choice that they do so. Okay, that's the difference. What Lao Tzu's, the alternative way of interpreting this line is Lao Tzu is saying that no, most people or normal people, quote unquote, normal people or ordinary people, that's maybe a better way, have a tendency to want to control and dominate based on either excessive greed or desire, wanting to dominate, or arrogance, okay? Whereas, on the other hand, sages don't want to control. They don't. Only if there's no other choice, then they would need to do so. So it's like saying only when there's no choice that people offer anything or the world to the sages, then the sages accept only when there's no other. So just like if you are an enlightened being, you understand that you cannot control, you cannot dominate or control the world, okay, based on your desires or arrogance, okay? It's only when people want you to be in control or to lead or to dominate, only sages will accept if there's no other choice. Otherwise, they decline, okay? So in ancient history, there are a lot of examples why, certain, we say, at least very advanced Tao cultivators or Tao masters, people like Mencius, people like Yan Hui, even, Confucius, yeah, to some degree, but anyway, but at least Mencius, or even Lao Tzu for that matter, or Buddha for that matter, or Jesus for that matter, they do not accept a king offering them a post to become their either chief advisor or minister, mainly a minister, right? Mencius famously did that. He talked about a story about a cow, I think, a cattle, an ox. Okay, well, a sacrificial ox. That was the story. But anyway, okay. So this is just an example of that. Okay, let's go to the and okay. So that's the first sentence. The second sentence is of the first section is the world is a sacred instrument. One cannot control it. That's what he was saying. That Lao Tzu was saying that why we cannot control, or a person, with this vision or desires or you can say ambition or arrogance, okay, cannot control this world, okay? 神气 is we have a specific definition, but the general definition, sun just means divine, supernatural, spiritual. Qi, I think we talked about this phrase, this word last week or 2 weeks ago. Last week. Yeah, 2 weeks ago, sorry. Okay, it just means implement, okay, all right? Implement, device, tool, instrument, okay? So the basic meaning is this. Whether it's in the context of nations, the environment, or one's life, the world is sacred. Okay, it must be treated with the appropriate respect, okay? All right, the world is sacred, okay? So it seems like, a lot of native religions treat the world with, when we say sacred, it just means respect. Yeah, you treat it with respect. You don't abuse it, okay? You don't abuse it or waste it, etc., okay? Or misuse it, okay? All right? Okay, here. Okay, why is this world sacred? Okay, or, special, you can say special, okay, sacred. If we can agree that the earth is beautiful beyond description, then we can extrapolate that the world is precious. After all, the world is what gives us its humanity, the gift of life, because without it, we would not exist. This is the only world that we have, as far as we know, right? Okay, so, all right, so that's why, because it's unique, it's special, it gave us life, our civilization, our humanity. So without this world, this earth, we wouldn't exist, right? That's pretty obvious, okay? So further understanding, just as the earth gives humanity, the gift of life, and is therefore sacred, okay, our existence is also a gift of life from the Tao to us, and therefore also sacred, okay? All right, so that means we have a spiritual nature, okay? That's another way of saying, okay? The life we lived and the life we have yet to live are our sacred journey, a personal journey of exploration and discovery. That's called a sacred journey. So one is the sacred world, which is the external, right? The external, okay? The external part, that's the physical realm, physical realm. Okay, so that, okay, and then we humans who live in this world, in the sacred world, we too also have a journey, a sacred journey, okay? All right, a sacred journey for each of our lives, okay? So another way of saying this, why is the world sacred, is it's like in Genesis, right? When God created the heavens and the earth, right? And God, said, yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad, right? So that's, God was pleased, right? So okay, so it's, if God was pleased with this world, I mean, that he created this, this marvelous cosmos, with the earth included, right? So, okay, so it too, you can say it's God's gift to humanity. Okay, you can say that. I mean, all right, okay. The addition, now here's the meaning of sacred instrument, okay? Another meaning, deeper understanding is it's becoming a leader, it's to be a leader. So this references the first sentence, okay? First sentence above, right? Talking about how a leader, okay? So, all right, so, okay. So under heaven, okay, as a leader, you still cannot control this heaven, okay? So being a leader, to be a leader of the world, okay? That's what it is, to be a leader of the world, okay? So the second half is, understand is, one cannot control the world or become the leader of the world, okay? All right, there are many factors in this world that are beyond our control, right? We cannot control the external factors of any journey, the metaphorical, the physical or the metaphorical, right? The physical, right, would be things like weather, traffic. There's, in the old days, there's very little traffic. Road closure, there are probably no roads, but construction accident. Okay, so factors that we have control over, on the other hand, is the type of vehicle, navigation, which direction, and our reaction to the external forces. Okay, the metaphorical side is the vehicle is our physical body. We need to keep it in good condition, right? Such as health, longevity, energy level, etc. Navigation of a trip is our decision-making ability, right? Which direction do we go, right? What path do we take, right? Okay. The Tao provides us with guidance for choosing the best path, for example. Okay. So our reaction to external conditions is our management of internal mental states, such as emotions, clarity, and meaning. Okay. Managing our emotional state to our advantage rather than to our detriment. Okay. We don't let the emotions control us. Rather, it should be the other way, right? Around. Okay. All right. Deep understanding. Here's where it is. We do not let the emotions we cannot let our 6 roots become our leaders. Okay. All right. Become 6 roots, right? We know what the 6 roots are, right? Which is the eyes, the ears, the nose, the mouth, and the body consciousness, because they're all false. They are the counterparts counterparts between the roots and the physical realm. Okay. They're created when there's an interaction between or interface between our 6 roots and the 6 sense objects. Okay. The objects of the eye, what we see, in other words, what we hear, right? The sound, right? So one is you can say colors or objects, okay, shapes and forms, right? That the eye can sense, that the eye root or the eyes root could see, right? The sound of the noise, okay, that the ears can hear, right? The aroma that the nose can smell, etc., right? And then the taste, right, that the mouth, okay, interacts. Okay, so those are the 6 roots. Okay, we do not let these 6 roots become the leaders. Why? Because the 6 consciousnesses, which are produced by the 6 sense objects and the 6 roots, are false, because they are always changing. So the control of the world cannot fall into the actions of the 6 roots or the human actions. Okay, so we cannot rely on our 6 roots to be our leaders, because they're not reliable and constantly change. Instead, we can only rely on our Buddha nature. Okay, because that's constant, right? That's always there. It's always the same, right? It's that previous chapters we talk about the eternal virtue, the Tao virtue, etc., etc. Okay, that's from our Buddha nature. The great, we call it the divine, marvelous wisdom that comes from here. Okay, right, from the Buddha nature. Okay, last sentence of section 1. Okay. All right. Now it's talking about the person, the one who controls it. That's the world, okay, or anything for that matter, will fail. And the one who wants to grasp it will lose it. Okay, all right. The basic meaning is those who attempt to control and dominate the world will fail. Okay, so another thing is another way to interpret that line is we must make sure we do not fall into that category. Okay, another understanding is not to go to extremes. Okay, now, and here's you can say it's a fine line, but okay, or a fine distinction. It's a fine line between helping and interfering, between being helpful and doing too much. So that's why Lao Tzu in previous chapters and also in future chapters he'll talk about the central theme of the middle path. Do not abide in either extremes, right? I think in chapter 28 we talked about that, right? Those extremes, right? You don't want to be abiding in these extremes, right? Chapter 28, for example, you talk about the masculine and the feminine principles, right? You don't go either way, right? I mean, you don't get stuck, right? The white and black, right? Remember the white and black, right? Honor and humility, right? All those, those are words, but they represent, the duality. Okay, they're 2 extremes. Okay, so that's what we have to be careful. Okay, all right. Now the deeper understanding is of this first phrase is, on the other hand, if we let our 6 roots control everything, or control us, all right, specifically, then we will fail, because six roots are never satisfied, right? They'll push us if we let them, be control us. It'll push us to extremes, to more and more extremes. Okay, all right. So that's the first phrase. Those who want to control, all right, those who want to dominate will fail. Then the second one is, the second half of this sentence is those who will grasp it. Okay, who the basic meaning is holding on to attachments with a death grip, just not letting go, okay, not willing to let go of something, okay. Another understanding is the more one holds onto something, the more one will lose, okay. All right, okay. This happens, okay, why is that? This happens when there are certain things that we simply cannot let go of, but we know that we ought to let go. Then there are certain things that we cannot let go that we know that we should hold on to, such as cherished friends, closer to that. These are attachments that we need. Okay, so now this is at a very basic level. Okay, you have to start with something first. Okay, you can't negate everything. I mean, you can't jump all the way to the highest level, to the third level. Okay, of the right. Or second level, to totally negate everything yet. Okay, we have to start with something first as a foundation, then we work our way up. Okay, so that means to distinguish what's good and what's bad, right? I mean, that's the basic level, right? You have to know what's good and what's bad, what one should let go of, what one we should hold on to, right? Family members, cherished friends. Okay, the proper views, right? The proper way of doing things, right? Proper behavior, conduct, all that, right? So we're saying this is the basic level, right? Which is what Buddha taught in the Agama period, right? The first 12 years, I think, first 12 years of his teachings, okay, was focused on distinguishing between which is very basic, okay? This is very basic, okay? All right, okay. But then there's a deeper level, which is there are attachments that we do not need, but we still hold on to, which will lead us to failure and loss. Okay, so that's got to be careful. Okay, so we cannot use our six roots to control, dominate the world. Okay, so that's very underlined. Okay, I mean, it's not easy, right? Because there are a lot of things that our six senses or six roots, that has a very deep grip, right? Ingrained, you can say. It's almost like a habit. Okay, so you just got to be careful. Okay, so higher understanding is if we fall into being controlling or dominating and holding on to attachments in our actions, then we will fail and lose out. If we grasp everything using our six roots, we will lose everything. Okay, and the reason why is because these six roots or whatever are never constant. I mean, they change, and that's the problem. Okay, so first, let's say we like, I don't know, hearing something. Okay, all right, so we're deeply attached. So the more we go for it, but then after a while, okay, you get bored with it, or something else comes along, or something else comes along. So then you get rid of that, right? So we're always grasping for something, and so here's what it is: the more we grasp, the more we lose. Okay, all right. Okay, so the key is not to force our will on everything and everyone, and not hold on to attachments, not to let our six roots control or dominate us, or grasp everything using our six roots, okay, or relying on that, okay? So if we're domineering and hold onto a position without allowing others, okay, now this is one specific area, okay, that if we want to dominate a position, for example, or a role, or status, whatever, okay, then we will definitely fail and lose that position. If we let our six roots control us and others, we will fail. If we grasp everything with our six roots, we will lose everything. Okay, so that's what Lao Tzu was implying. Okay, all right. That's why the sages don't rely on their six roots, right? They rely on wisdom, right? The wisdom from the Buddha nature. That's more specific. Okay, all right. This is the section 2 now. Okay, so that concludes section 1, the proposition. Okay, so now he wants to go into analysis. And why do we not want to dominate? Okay, or control? Maybe that's a better. It's because all things either lead or follow. Okay, so so we know this "wu" means things. Okay, objects, matter, substance. Okay, all right. So the basic meaning is this: when living things venture anywhere. Okay, we're talking about living things. Okay, so it could be animals. Okay, maybe plants. They either lead the way or follow closely behind. That just symbolizes or Laozi's way of a metaphorical way of saying there is a dualistic nature, okay, reality of nature. There in nature there's duality. That's okay. So that's in chapter 2, section 2. Okay, another understanding. this this order, this tendency, this natural tendency occurs naturally without contrivance. Contrivance means what? What? With intention, right? Intention. Without, in this case, we would say human intention. Okay? Without intention. Okay, human. All right. Further understand. In life, now, how does it relate to us? Well, in life, we all play both roles as a leader and follower, believe it or not, simultaneously. Actually, yeah, simultaneously. You're not just always a leader, or you're not just always a follower. Actually, in life, we play both. Okay, we're both roles. Okay, so it's leading or following will change depending on the circumstances. Okay, right? So, maybe to your children, right? You're the leader of the family, right? To your children, but to your coworkers or to your boss, you're the follower, right? So, okay, example. I mean, these are base. Okay, so the deeper understanding is all things lead or follow. In one circumstance, you could be behind some people you follow who may act as your teacher, while in another circumstance, you may be in front of another group who can follow you and learn from you in this journey of life. Okay, so in life, we play both roles. Okay, all right, simultaneously too. Okay, so in reality, the truth is that you are not one or the other. Okay, right? It's not either or. Once again, it's not either or. Okay, but always both as a leader and follower. You position your position in the journey of life, not just as a leader, okay, or follower, but both. You are always leading some people and always following some people, and always somewhere in between. Okay, so to your coworkers, you're the same, right? You're right. To people in the same circumstances, you're both a leader and a follower. Okay, or somewhere in between. Okay, implication. You, me, us, the true self, occupy all possible positions all the time in the journey of life. First, last, and everything in between. When you see yourself in that way, from the perspective of the Tao, that incorporates all possible angles, all possible perspectives. There is something magical that happens in that you notice that you cannot be as arrogant as you could possibly be before without that realization. So in this case, this is this is more specific, or more specific way of what is that when you see yourself in a way that all possible angles, all possible perspectives. That's the Mahaprajna. That's the marvelous wisdom. Okay, it's everything. You can say nothing too, but it's everything. It encompasses everything. Okay, all possible things. Okay, so that's the mind of that divine wisdom. Okay, manifesting. Okay, all right, and also the first half is, you occupy all possible positions. We're not a tool, a specific tool, right? A tool is generally very specific, right? Very, you get a screwdriver. Okay, I think screwdriver is just good for what? Using on screws, screwing something on or something off, right? A hammer, it's good for hammering nails. Okay, that's it. Okay, I don't think you can use a hammer to dig the ground. Okay, or carry something. Okay, same thing with a screwdriver. So you don't want to narrow yourself or limit yourself to become just a tool, right? I think it's what, chapter 28 that we mentioned about not being a tool, right? Not, Confucius said, right, in the Analects, a superior person is not a tool or an implement. Okay, that's the same thing. Okay, here. Okay, we are not limited. That's another way of saying. Now, okay, you can say that's on a physical level. Okay, what the highest level of what it refers to is our Buddha nature. Okay, our Buddha nature is not limited to one role or one thing. Okay, it has everything. It does. Everything is possible with the Buddha nature. Okay, that's another way of saying. Okay, all right. So that's what it is. Okay, so the key point is when you see yourself as always being above other people, that's the arrogant side or the pride. Okay, naturally that will lead to arrogance, right? So if you could see yourself in that proper view meaning that what? That we are first, last, and everything in between. Okay. Okay. First, last, and everything in between. Okay. All right. So if we could see ourselves in that proper view, understand that, we're not just a leader or we're not just a follower, but we're both or somewhere in between. Okay. So somewhere along that great sacred divine journey of life, then the arrogance will go away. Okay. So it is not easy, okay, to see because you have to see yourself in a broader perspective and have a rather open mind. Okay. You have to have a rather open mind. Okay. And if we don't see that, if we don't see ourselves as being both, as also being a follower or just, having one, I don't know, perspective or one line, then that's when arrogance could arise because we could arise because then you think that you know everything or you're better than others, okay, or smarter or faster or stronger, etc., etc. Okay, all right. So that's when the 6 roots take over. Okay, all right. Okay. Then the next another duality, okay, is in nature or in the world. Either there's something blows hot or cold. Okay, now, okay, I think this word is whole, right? Whole. Okay, it just means to breathe. It could mean to blow through the nose or snort. In this case, it just means blowing hot air, warm breath. Okay, warm breath. You can call it that. Okay, all right. And the second word, cui, it means to puff. In this case, it means to blow cold air. Okay, so it's like I don't know if you're familiar. Okay, when it's now we're in winter, right? Winter, when it's like cold outside, right? What we blow warm air into our hands, right? Our hands are cold, right? We blow warm air, right? Right? We do that, right? Okay, so that's the meaning to blow hot. Okay, this is she. It just means to sigh, but it basically means in this context it means the same thing. Then when it's something is hot, for example, where something just came off the stove, okay, or the pot, like a soup, like very hot soup, right? Soup just finished cooking, okay, so it's too hot to drink right away. So what you do, you take a spoon and you blow on it, right, to cool it off, right? So that's what this is. Okay, all right. So the basic meaning is all things have warm and cold qualities. Once again, the dualistic nature, okay, the duality of nature, okay, the duality. Okay, on a physical level, you can say, among living things or mirror things, okay, living things, some creatures are either warm-blooded, like animals, like mammals, and some are not, like reptiles, for example. Okay, now on a human level, humans are more complex, so we can have both. Okay, we can either we say warm-blooded or cold-blooded, but there is. Okay, so cold-blooded means when you're very evil, right, wicked, right, lacking, and this is what we're gonna get into right here. Social relationships. Humans can be warm or cold-hearted. Yeah, right. Oh, there are people we love or we like to be around, so our relationships with them are warm. People we dislike, we hate, we detest, then we're cold-blooded. Give them the cold shoulder, right? Strangers or whoever, okay, people. All right. So that's the duality. Okay. Another understanding in social interactions, we can be cold-blooded or warm-blooded or cold-blooded. Either way, right? Same thing, right? Yeah, with our loved ones, or partners, or very good friends. Yeah, we're very warm to each other, right? To them. But people, our, I don't know, our enemies, our the even relatives that we dislike, or whoever, ex-spouses, so with cold blood, give them the cold shoulder, right? Okay, so this, the implication is that this just illustrates the dualistic nature of our physical being, externally, internally. Okay, so the hot and cold are the metaphors for the dualistic nature of ourselves internally, as well as our environment externally. Okay, so in this physical world, there are two sides of everything present. Okay, so that's the nature, right? Okay, so this has been talked about in previous chapters too, right? So you can look at that. All right. Then the third, is it the third? Yes, this is the third. The third. The third metaphor, okay, describing, okay, why. So either have strength or weaknesses, or weakness, okay? So basic meaning is all things have both strength and weakness, you know that? Okay, all things, okay? It's not just only weak and only strong, okay? All right, the myriad variety of and diversity in nature, just, take a note. Animals, plants, insects, all are different. All different and unique. Yeah, and unique. Okay. And what is that? Okay. Each animal or plant have different roles, right? Some are predators, some are prey, some are scavengers, etc. Okay. All right. So each animal, what does that mean? Each animal or plant have different capabilities. Some rely on strength, speed, stealth, camouflage, etc. Okay. So from a evolutionary perspective, humans started out as prey. You know that? Yeah, we were prey to the saber tooth, or whoever, those giant wolves, or whoever. Okay, tigers, lion. Okay, and we're scavengers because we could not compete against animals physically. Okay, all right. This is probably what 50, 60,000 years ago. Okay, in early human evolution. Okay, but eventually the human mind, our intelligence, eventually prevailed over all things and became dominant. So strength and weaknesses are relative. Okay, it's relative. Okay, so physically humans are weak, right? We're weaker than most animals, right? We are slower than horses or rabbits or antelopes. Okay, we're weaker than the tigers, than the elephants. Okay, etc. Okay, but we have an intelligence, the human intellect, right? We are more advanced than animals, so we can devise, we can make up, maybe that's another way of saying, better way, make up with our with our physical frailty or weaknesses, but make that up through our intellect, our human intelligence, which is then we can design, right? We can now build airplanes that can fly faster than birds, right? We can build cars that can run faster than the fastest horse or antelope or whoever, right? Okay, et cetera, et cetera. All right. Okay. So it's relative. Okay. So key point, just like all things in nature above the all things, the previous two lines, these characteristics, being a leader, follower, hot, cold, strong, and weak, are all also manifest among humans. They represent the opposites in nature. Okay. Okay, now the last phrase of the second section, explaining another. Okay, now he's then kind of like summarizing. So he's kind of concluding, saying, summarizing the differences. He's saying that either have ownership or take by force. What's that mean? Okay, so the basic meaning is all things can be successful or can be achieved or be destroyed. Okay, yeah, so there's this. So you can say success, failure, or achievement, and ruin, or destruction. Okay, so here's the other standard. In human society or environment for that matter, excuse me, humans of the world are just as diverse as the creatures in nature and play just as many different roles. Okay, so we say in the animal world, right? There are predators and prey. There are strong animals and weak, etc., etc. So well, humans reflect that too. Okay, based on our roles. Okay, because they're different roles. Okay, so the roles are constantly changing though. The giver today may become the taker tomorrow. That's why I say it's relative. Okay, the beneficiary may become the benefactor. The student may become the teacher, right? Okay, or the student may become the master. Okay, and the master may become the student. Okay, so it's just that our roles are not fixed. Once again, unlike animals, a lot of animals, right? Unlike most animals, right? Our roles are always changing, okay? Or relative, you can say relative, okay? All right, so the other answer, here it is. So the key is, if we don't follow the Tao and cause damage in our relationship, the results could be catastrophic and unpredictable, just like the consequence of ecological change, for example, okay? Global warming, all that stuff, ice age, etc., etc. Okay, so the implication is of this phrase is that in this dualistic world, if there is achievement, then there is also ruin. That's very important. Okay. All right. If we say things, oh, those are achievements or success, then there is also the failure. Okay. All right. So we just have to be careful and understanding that if we, okay, if we have to understand there is this inherent duality or dualistic reality in this physical world. Okay, so in this world, roles are always changing, just as in human society. Achievement and ruin are also relative. Okay, so that's why don't from our first first section, right? Lao Tzu was saying, people who want to control, dominate them, they want to what? To succeed. You can say, no, it's to achieve something, right? For their own, either their own ends or what. But they will not get it because there is the duality, okay? And there's a relativeness, okay, in this world. So we cannot. Okay, so now we come to the conclusion. Okay, basic meaning. So therefore the sages, okay, that's what that's the phrases. They observe and reserve the nature around them and reflect it upon how humans act within the, the within the natural world. Sages saw the similarities between human society and nature. Also notice how things can change among humans, sometimes very quickly. So, example, person can go from rags to riches, or the other way around, from riches to rags, right? Rich man, poor man, right? From the mighty ruler to a little subject fearing for his life, right? Throughout history, we see these, okay, throughout history. So that you understand. In the natural world, the roles of mere things are all set, yeah, like that among the animals, plants, even, okay, and not easily changed. Whereas humans have the ability to change the roles they play, okay, because humans are not just a tool, okay, that's very important, okay, not a specific tool, okay. All right, the deeper understanding, okay, we know the deeper understanding, we should know that a sage implies our Buddha nature. And why? It's our Buddha nature, okay? The enlightened person would have their true self be in charge and not the six roots, okay? So you can be everything. If you, right, allow our Buddha nature to be in charge, there's that what? That divine, marvelous wisdom, which can be applied, is applicable in all circumstances, not just a specific uh, uh, way or perspective. Like if we just rely on our six roots, then we are forced, right? Then we only have a very narrow, you can say narrow view, right? Narrow understanding, right? So the implication is by following the Tao and practicing moderation, right? Neither extremes, okay? No extremes, okay? When things are going well, as we know, could be a consequence of fire. You avoid extremes that may bring out your downfall. Okay, so you don't go things to, and then the next two especially next two chapters, as I said from the beginning, chapter 29, 30, 31 are related, or they carry the same underlying theme. More so chapter 30, 31. It goes to more specific, about using force, or force, we can say force, or the army, okay, the military, the army. All right, so that's a metaphor, okay, by the way, okay, but we'll talk about that next 2-3 weeks, okay. So you want to avoid extremes, okay, that's the problem, okay. Do not be overfilling, okay, that's the same thing. That's in chapter 16, I believe. Yeah, we talked about that, okay. So key point, sages will act according to their Buddha nature and not rely on their 6 roots. Sages follow the Tao and practice moderation and avoid extremes, okay. All right, so here's the last line. We're almost there. Okay, last phrase. Last, you can say last line, last sentence. Okay, or last line, last sentence. Okay, all right. He says, therefore the sages what? Do what? They eliminate extremes, eliminate excess, eliminate arrogance. Now, okay, now in Chinese, these 3 words, okay, or at least these 2 words, are very similar, you can say. Okay, they're similar, but in this case, we want to apply in a different context. Okay, so the basic meaning of the first phrase is to eliminate extreme. Okay, well, this sun means excess. Anything that's excessive, that's over the top. That's excess, extreme, 超过. Okay, so basic meaning is being over the top, doing too much, feeling emotional extremes, right? The highs and lows that we talked about of our emotions, or anything in life, right? Okay, that we talked about in this Friday's class, right? We talk about the highs and lows, right? The why we suffer, right? Okay, it's like a roller coaster, right? Our lives are like a roller coaster. Okay, all right, right? Okay. See, another understanding is the tendency to go from one extreme state to the other extreme state in terms of actions and emotions. Okay, that's what it is. Okay, actions and emotions. Right, that's what this first phrase, first 2 words, okay, mean. Qi, just so qi means to get rid of. Okay, to eliminate. So sages don't fall into that trap. Now, why we tend to go into extremes, either in action or emotions, is why? Because what? We follow our 6 roots, right? Okay, the 6 roots demand more. They're never satisfied, and also they're always changing, right? I'm saying they don't make up their minds, but they're always pursuing something that's either the 6 senses or the roots consider is it's better or more interesting, or more pleasurable, more pleasant, more pleasing, etc., etc., etc. Okay, so you're always doing that. Okay, so that's what will lead to extremes in actions and emotions. Okay, all right. Okay, so the further understanding is the dualistic tendencies of attachment to one extreme or the other, such as leading, following, hot or cold, strong and weak, achievement or ruin. Okay, that's what sages do not follow. Okay, on the other hand, when we follow our 6 roots, this is what will happen. Okay, all right, so that's so that's why sages keep reminding us, we want to maintain some form of moderation. Okay, you don't go to extremes. Okay, all right. Okay, now the second phrase, right? Okay, what's that? Qi se, right? That's pronounced se. Okay, that's this. Okay, or eliminate excess. Okay, now we translate excess. Se, the definition means it literally, well, the dictionary definition, it means just extravagant, very luxurious, or you can say very profuse. It also means very wasteful. Okay, so in this case, it's being wasteful. Okay, so it could mean excess too. Okay, it could mean excess, but in this term, this excess is different from extremes, meaning that excess means wasteful. Okay, very wasteful. It can mean extravagant too. That's what, but it just means that it's very wasteful when you're extravagant, right? Being wasteful, having too much, discarding too much, recklessly extravagant, senselessly discarding valuable resources. That's what extravagant is. Okay, so that's what the excess means. You're being very wasteful. Okay, so now here's another thing. In Tao, the resources, the resources. That means be it raw materials, food, water, etc., okay, all that, are tied to the divine instrument. That is the world. That's the sacred world, remember? Okay, so these resources are, you can say, given to us by nature. They're a gift of nature, right? Gift of this world, right? Okay, all right. So the resources that comes into your life, now that's the physical part, as first part. The second part, the resources that come into your life, whatever form they may take, are sacred too. Thus, the resources should not be wasted, not be recklessly expended. So resources that come into life, example, our family, right? Our family, whatever economic state, it doesn't matter. It's the relationship, right? The idea that you have parents or siblings or good friends, good neighbors, good friends, etc., etc. Okay, so those resources, or in this case, relationships, are also very important, right? Okay, and are worth having, right? Okay, so we should not throw them away, discard them, or waste them. Okay, all right. Okay, now the third half of the phrase is eliminate the arrogance. Okay, now Tai, pronounced Tai. In modern usage, it means this. It means peaceful, safe, tranquil, exalted, grand, great, superior, most prosperous. But in the ancient usage, it means extreme, specifically extreme in terms of ego. In this context, arrogance or hubris. Okay, 自大骄傲. Okay, just means you're arrogant. Okay, so that's why we translate as arrogance. Okay, so sages definitely do not have arrogance. Okay, they are very humble. Okay, they follow the Tao of humility. Okay, and here, we talked about it many times, right? Okay, sages naturally want to get rid of ignorance because it is too contrary to Tao. It's mentioned, just for reference sake, just in this last few weeks, it's mentioned in chapter 22, 24, 28. Okay, I mean, even more. Okay, even previous other chapters, but these three are the more recent ones. So, okay, so talk about they do not, sages definitely do not have arrogance. Okay, all right, okay. So the understanding is this. Why? Because arrogance is contrary to the Tao of humility. Remember chapter 8, be like water, right? It's contrary to being humble, okay, to knowing, understanding that, we're not everything, okay? We're not the everything, okay? All right. All right. We're not just the leader, okay? We are both leader and follower. Okay. All right. Okay. So the further understanding is the notion of this arrogance connects back to the beginning of the chapter. Arrogance leads to attempts to control and dominate the world. Remember, I say one of the two areas is you have this arrogance, right? This arrogance, either arrogance or excessive greed and desire, right? Okay. So the arrogance that's rooted in ignorance, okay, or not realizing, the true the true understanding, okay, okay, all right. So this arrogance will lead us to will lead one to have to attempt to control and dominate the world or people or anything. Okay, thus there are three kinds of extremism now. So that's what this conclusion is talking about. The three kinds of extremism. Okay, it's doing too much, or either doing too much or have too too many extreme emotions. Okay, so it's both. It's action and emotions. Okay, all right. So where is it? Okay, here. Okay, so here. Okay, all right. Okay, so doing too much, you know, refers to both external actions and also emotions. Then wasting too much. Now that deals with the resources, things, but it could be resources or relationships. Okay, we waste. Okay, we discard them, we waste them. Okay, or having too much pride. All right, so those are the three, I won't say three poisons, but three things that sages do not have, or avoid, or don't have. Okay, or that we should not have. Okay, so additional understanding is the sense of moderation. Okay, applies as well. Okay, there's a skillful balance where you conserve your resources, but you also avoid hoarding onto excessive, useless clutter. Okay, so you have to have a balance. Okay, there has to be a balance, right? In human relations, there are certain times when you can be very happy, very joyful, very, very, you can say, you can be proud of certain things. Okay, very thing. Okay, so you can, or you need to do a lot, but there are other times that you also can feel sad, right? Such as losing, a loved one, or something that's you cherish. Okay, yeah, there are times that you can be, or uh, times when you don't need to do too much, right? There's time to rest, right? Okay, etc. All right, or time to be humble if you achieve something, because that was part of a group effort, etc., or maybe different circumstances, etc. Okay, so you have to have a sense of moderation. Okay, you cannot go to these extremes. That, and chapter 30, we'll talk a little bit more. Okay, about that. Okay, so all right. Okay, so the deeper understanding is sages eliminate the tendency for extremes, extravagance, or excessive waste, and arrogance, because they realize that they are contrary to the Tao. So if it's contrary to the Tao, things do not last. We'll talk about that in chapter 30, okay, and 31, and future chapter 55, for example. Okay, so all right. I think in previous chapter we already talked about that, right? Okay, all right. Higher understanding. Wealth, prosperity, and abundance are only meaningful if they can be leveraged or used for the greater good, and not just for the enjoyment or use by the few. Okay, so that's why this leads back to the first section, right? Lao Tzu say, those who wish to control or dominate the world or control it will fail. Or those who wish to grasp it, right, will also fail, right? Okay, because why? It's not for the selfish enjoyment or selfish vision of a single person. Okay, but rather, so it's not an enjoyment or use by the few. Okay, it's for everybody's use. Okay, it's I didn't put the Chinese here, but because that goes deeper. There's that it comes from the oh geez from the book of, I think it's from the book of rights, right? From it's from Confucius, right? The first phrase, it's on the translations, you can say on the commonwealth good, uh, or you can say world harmony. It's called 天下为公, right? That's means under heaven everything is 公. 公 means has many meanings. Okay, it could mean everything's equal or for everybody. Okay, in this case, there are two meanings. Okay, one is external, one's internal. The external meaning is it's for everybody. Okay, it's not for the few. Everything under heaven is for everyone, not for the few. Okay, that's the 天下为公. 天下 means everything under heaven. Okay, 为 it's for. You can say for. Okay, okay. 公 means public. Literally it means public or non-private, not private. Okay, not non-self. You can say non-self. Okay, it's for everybody. But also means it's equal to. Gong could also means equal, okay, or equality, equal, meaning that what? And the internal level, all Buddha nature. We all have the same Buddha nature, so we're the same. Okay, so it has two meanings. Okay, but it's similar to that. Okay, here. Okay, this. Okay, this line. Okay, so the implication is about this. Tao is about cherishing, conserving, and sharing. Right, the Wei Gong. Okay, the for everybody. Okay, sharing of the resources. For instance, what is the use of someone becoming very wise and proficient in the Tao if they cannot share that abundance of wisdom with other people, right? If Buddha, right, he became enlightened, right? What good would his enlightened be if he did not share, i.e., teach, right? Taught the Dharma or the teachings for what, 45, 49 years, right? Right? I mean, what good? I mean, what's, I mean, yes, he became enlightened. Yeah, but that's just for him, right? Just for him. Okay. So if he did not share that path of enlightenment that he understood, that he realized with everybody, then the Buddha, the enlightened being, Siddhartha, we would not hear about him 2,500 years, 3,000 years later if he did not go out and share it with everybody or help us guide, lead us. Same thing with Jesus, right? Same thing with Confucius, same thing with Mencius, etc., all these, right? So that they understood that, hey, when I became enlightened, it's not just for myself. Oh yeah. You can say our hearts do that. Yeah, there's a group, there's a category. That's the our hearts, but that's the what's they call it, the lower vehicle, right? The small cart, the goat cart, goat, goat like a GOAT, goat cart. It's a small cart. That means it's just for individual achievement without benefiting anybody else. Okay, so it's for the few, right? For the elite, for the few, right? The enlightenment for the few or the elite. Okay, so that's not the Tao really. Okay, the true Tao is for everybody. That's the Wei Gong. It's for everybody's benefit. Okay, that's the Bodhisattva way. That's called the higher vehicle, right? Or the large, they call the greater vehicle, the great vehicle. You can say it's the ox vehicle, the ox. Okay, the ox. Okay, all right. That's the Bodhisattva vehicle or way. Okay, so the key point is this: moderation is the name of the game, and the avoidance of extremes is the goal. Okay, once again, we have to do this through moderation. Okay, so we need to be natural, be in the same state as our Buddha nature, like the sages. Remember chapter 28, eternal virtue, we talked about that. Or have self-caution, being cautious with ourselves. Okay, now there is this by being moderation. Okay, there's this is just I just want just extra information because we are already an hour, almost 75 minutes. Okay, so this is just for your reference. Okay, Friday you talked about the Eightfold Paths, right? The Dukkha or the Four Noble Truths. Okay, all right. So to cherish all. Okay, this is Tao of contentment. Okay, so 喜福感恩. Okay, that means to cherish blessings and to be grateful. Okay, so that means to cherish all good things that one already possesses and feel deeply grateful for having them. Okay, so from Tao perspective is this: if there is without this, if we don't have this notion of cherishing and feeling grateful, then when there are thoughts to cherish good things you possess, then there's no gratitude for possessing them, which leads to a what? Feeling of lack of contentment. That's the dukkha. Thus, one will forever be chasing after. This is the manifestation of dissatisfaction, or dukkha, of never being satisfied, of not being able to get what one wants, an emptiness that seems to feel one will never have enough. So dukkha becomes a form of suffering or imperfection. Okay, so all right now, but if we have this notion of cherishing all good things and feeling grateful, with this one naturally feels content and happy. You can say satisfied, just having what we already have, such as our life, family, friends, and health. These are already a great source of happiness as it is. There's no need to go somewhere to have this kind of happiness. We already have it. You can say we're born with it, more or less, right? So it's actually right in front of us, something that is already within me. We just need to appreciate it. So it's a change of state of mind, the frame of mind, right? Okay, all right. So that's the cherish, the Tao contentment. Now there's a Tao of humility. We talked about that in previous chapters, but just know that you'll come across people who, in our journey of life, you'll come across who cannot compare to us. They may not be as smart, fast, strong, not as educated, knowledgeable, skillful, not as fortunate in life. But remember the following. Okay, here's what we have to be mindful of. This is the mindfulness. Okay, some are ahead, some are behind. So we are both. That means no matter how blessed you may be, strong, smart, educated, formal, fortunate, etc., then there are many also who are even more gifted ahead of us. Okay, so be mindful. There are other people. There are people above people, heaven beyond heaven. That's a Chinese idiom, 人上有人,天外有天. Okay, no matter how great one may be, there are always others who are even greater. Therefore, one should always be mindful, be humble. That's okay. We have to be mindful of that. The great diversity of life in nature means no one is the best at everything. Okay, remember the blowing warm, blowing cold, strong, weak, right? To own and to take by force. This is true among humans, among people, just as is among the myriad things, and it means we all bring different gifts. We contribute in different ways in order to contribute to it. And then we had nothing to do with starting life with more good things. That's important, because blessings and gifts such as intelligence, talents, looks, etc., than other we have nothing to do with starting life with more good things than others. Okay, good things meaning blessings, gifts, etc. These blessings and gifts were given to us. Therefore, having more should make us even feel more grateful, not arrogant. Okay, so that's everything I want to say for this chapter. If there are things that I say that are not sufficient or that are wrong, I ask for the Buddha's and Laozi's forgiveness. Okay, thank you. Any questions?
This is a good chapter on kind of putting everything in perspective, or putting our own lives in perspective with everything else. Yeah, it's all relative.
Yeah, that's the dualistic nature. But the key is we should not allow the six senses to take over us, because then that's what leads to these extremes, right?
Yeah,
that's the key. Now, chapter 29, 30, 31 are related. I mean, they have the same. They touch on the same, similar. You can say similar underlying theme. Okay, and this is more general. 29 is like an intro. Then 30 is a little bit more specific. 31 is even more specific. Okay, so that's the connection between these three chapters.